Hi, it's Tim Reagan again, founder of the Free Agent Collective and entrepreneur, author, and long-serving free agent. So it's great to have you join me now for the third video in my free workshop series, Success on Your Own Terms. In this video, I'm going to outline the exact system that you need to become a more successful free agent. So if you've ever been confused about how all the pieces of growing and thriving in your career fit together, and more importantly, what goes into creating massive success with growing and thriving in your career, then this video is for you. Now, maybe you're new to taking real ownership of your career and you aren't sure how to get started, or perhaps you're a long-time free agent that just isn't experiencing the kind of growth that you're really after. So in this video, I'll show you how freelancers, consultants, solopreneurs, and intrapreneurs like you and me can become more successful as free agents. I'm just going to turn off my video so that it's not distracting, and we'll get right into the meat of today's video training. So in video one, we talked about how now is the right time to take really full control of your career so that you can attract better work projects and enjoy more money, time, and freedom. And we covered that with the success blueprint called Reboot Your Career. Then in video two, we covered the first step to taking, the first steps that you need to take so that you can create real sustainable momentum. So if you haven't seen those videos, go back and watch them now and then come back to this one. Now, today I'm going to build on what we've already discussed by giving you the complete framework to become a more successful free agent. Now, by the end of this video, you'll have a ton of clarity about growing and thriving in your career, and you'll see how all the pieces fit together. So this will help you break free of that frustration, and it's key to helping you do work that you love and get paid fairly for it so that you can then experience more money, more time, and more freedom. Now, we've got a lot to cover today, so make sure you've got your paper and pen ready so that you can take some notes as you follow along with me. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's video, starting with showing you how all the pieces that we're covering fit together to create a comprehensive system for success. Now in video one, we covered off the success blueprint, and that's the starting point for making a single successful career transition or reinvention. Now at its heart, it gets you to get very clear on your superpower, your purpose, your vision, and your mission. Now, then video two showed you how to turn all that into a set of daily and weekly actions so that you're able to build and sustain momentum in accomplishing whatever is most important to you. But as you know, life is not static, and neither are you. So as your career progresses, you're going to gain new skills. You're going to have new experiences. You'll stretch and enhance your superpower. Your vision for yourself will evolve and expand. And that's where the free agent growth path comes in. As you evolve from stage to stage on the growth path, you'll continually revisit the success blueprint and hone your story, capturing new experiences, telling better stories about how you add more and more value. And of course, you'll continue to execute on daily and weekly actions to deliver against your ongoing 90-day plans. And your plans, in turn, will become grander and more ambitious, and your ability to deliver against them will continually grow. So that's how all the pieces fit together to form a system, a full system for your continuing success. So let's now dive into that third piece, the free agent growth map. And that's the third and final part of our system for success. And with the free agent growth path, you'll see the kind of professional and personal growth that's possible because you're now taking deliberate, thoughtful, small actions on a regular basis. Now, anytime you're trying to become a more successful free agent, it can be hard because in the beginning, everything is new. You know, things like what to focus on, how to navigate your workplace effectively, how to improve your networking skills, how much time to invest in pursuing new opportunities, and how to convert ideas into paid gigs. And you can see that as you grow, you come up against new challenges. Now, even if you have experience with growing and thriving in your career already, you're always looking for the 80-20. You don't have time to waste, and so you want to find the 20% of the things that are going to really produce 80% of the results. And that's why understanding the free agent growth path is going to save you a ton of time. This is the exact framework that you need to become a more and more successful free agent. So go ahead and click the button to download your own copy of the Free Agent Growth Path. Now, with that said, I need to warn you before we get rolling. Once you see the framework, you'll be tempted to dive in and start rolling up your sleeves. It gives you the complete picture, but I want to make things easy for you by covering that 20% that we talked about earlier. So although the framework will give you the high-level view, stay with me because I'm going to walk you through that 20% that gives 80% of your results. Now, there's something that I should clarify first. Free agency is not so much a contractual structure as it is a mindset and discipline about taking full ownership for your career development and your ultimate success. Now, as a free agent, you may be employed in a traditional sense. That is what we're referring to as an intrapreneur working full-time in an established organization. Or you may operate completely independently of a full-time employment agreement. So that's typically referred to as a contractor, consultant, freelancer, or solopreneur. You may also be employed part-time and leveraging your available time outside of the paid work to advance a specific project, develop a side gig, or search for more meaningful work projects. So regardless of the specific contractual arrangement, a free agent finds themselves in one of 6 distinct phases on the overall maturity and development curve of the free agent growth path, which is shown here. Now, their ongoing objective as a functioning, engaged, committed free agent is to develop their career by continually striving to advance along the particular free agent growth path that is most applicable to their situation. So I'm going to now do a deep dive into these stages. So first, let's drill into the intrapreneur growth path. So this is the growth path where you are employed in a traditional way, however, you have taken ownership, real ownership of your career. So as we go through these stages, this is the traditional or the characteristic language of a free agent that they might say at each of these 6 stages of growth and maturity. And so just listen to what I'm saying here and see what actually sounds like your story. And that'll help you kind of figure out where you are on the free agent growth path on the intrapreneurial track. So in the first stage, this is where you're currently employed, but just not engaged. And you might say something like this: you know, when I'm totally honest with myself, I know that this isn't a great fit and I know I need to do something about it. Now note the bias for taking action and ownership for the situation. That is a key feature of any free agent. The next stage that you will be in the intrapreneur track is what we call exploring the landscape. So you've basically now taken action because you recognize that you're not happy, you're not engaged, you're not as fully engaged as you want to be. And so you are taking deliberate action. And now this stage, this is what this sounds like. I'm starting to understand the landscape and opportunities that the landscape represents. I'm trying new things and I'm taking full ownership of my professional fulfillment. So this is a free agent in action, actively looking around the environment, seeing what kinds of opportunities there are, pushing and prodding and checking things out, expanding their network. In the next phase that we get to, we call this on-purpose message honing. So this is where employees in entrepreneurs and free agents are starting to really understand what it is they love doing and what they'd like to do more of. So the language sounds like this. I know I can be truly successful as an employee and on my own terms. I'm actively exploring what I want that success to look and feel like. So they're very much getting into the mode of, I can design my own work environment. And again, that, many people that operate in organizations, that's a foreign concept to them. And to the free agent says, regardless of how I'm contracted, my career is my own to develop as I need to develop it. And that's the telling feature for a free agent. So the next stage is what we call focused scaling. And this is what that might sound like. I'm in a great groove now. I'm doing more of what I want and less of what I don't want to do. My value is being recognized and I'm being rewarded for it. As you move up from there, you get into the next stage of stretching time. And this is where you're recognizing that you really want to create more value both for yourself and for your organization. And the way to do that is to really stretch out your time to become much more effective in the time that you do use and use less of it to accomplish the more or greater results. So this is what that sounds like. Now that I really know my purpose and served community, I'm turbocharging my success by leveraging my time as effectively as possible to the benefit of both myself and my employer. So you're pushing back on work that doesn't make any sense to you, on wasting your time in activities that aren't productive. You're being much more deliberate in the projects that you're taking on, and you're recognizing where you really fit well and shine and do brilliant work that fits both your needs and your employer's needs. And ultimately then we get to a stage where called totally engaged and self-directed. And this is where, what you might say is, things really feel great. And on my ongoing background efforts and systems are enough to maintain my forward momentum. So at this point, you've developed a lot of those disciplines that we talked about in the Building Sustainable Momentum video. You've got background systems, you're clear on what you're wanting to do, you're journaling on a regular basis, you're reflective, you're pushing back against the nonsense in the organization, and you're saying, look, I don't want to be a part of that. Here's how I can really contribute a lot of value. And you're self-directed and totally engaged. Now, one of the things to realize in the entrepreneur path is that at any time, your situation could change dramatically because the environment might change around you. And this is true for the entrepreneurial path also, but it's very true in the entrepreneurial path in terms of maybe everything is going really well in the organization, and then you get a new manager or a new division head, and they decide to sort of change the landscape by reorganizing things. And so you can often go from, say, a totally engaged and self-directed, and you might drop down 2 or 3 stages because your situation is being changed. The good news here is that these setbacks, if you will, are going to be very temporary, because once you develop the skills and capabilities of understanding where you are and moving forward and progressing on a daily and weekly basis by using the tools that we've been talking about in these videos, any setback is going to be very, very temporary because you know how to look at your situation, decide whether or not you're comfortable with it. And if you're not comfortable, you know exactly how to take action, how to impact and influence the organization around you so that you can be doing things that are of high value to you. So that's what the intrapreneur track of the free agent growth path feels like and sounds like when you're in those different stages. So let's now drill into this growth path to one more level of detail. And here we can see the specific milestones and action steps for each of the 3 phases of growth that we just talked about. There's 6 phases of growth, and obviously the other 3 phases are as detailed as this. And so I just wanted to show you the level of detail in terms of the next level down, the milestones and the action steps, and we're only going to do that for these 3 stages, just to show you how this all works. So what you can see here is that no matter where you currently are on the growth path, no matter what stage you're in, this makes it very straightforward to quickly identify what your next set of actions should consist of to help you develop and move along the growth path at a rate that you're comfortable with. And the way that you put those actions into place is by building them into your 90-day plans and then your weekly heartbeat activities, as we went through in video 2, the building momentum video. So this way you're assured of making regular progress on your own career development objectives, regardless of how much other stuff, other emergencies and fire drills get thrown in your way. So they'll probably still slow you down, but they can't really knock you completely off your track, because you've now got a robust system in place that's continually refocusing you on what you want and what you need to deliver on to meet your own personal and professional objectives. And that's not to say that you're not also meeting the objectives of the organization, but it is much more a negotiated set of activities, because you are saying, look, this is really what's important to me, and this is what's going to make me a better employer, a better contributor, a better employee, a better contributor, and you have the wherewithal and the confidence to negotiate that with your organization. So that's incredibly powerful for you in your career development. So staying with this entrepreneurial track, let's quickly explore some of the 20% actions that are going to help you deliver 80% of the results. So remember earlier, we said that there's kind of some key activities, the 20%, that really make the rest of this all work well. And what you can see from the action steps that I've circled in green here are that these are the high impact activities, and they typically revolve around personal reflection. So such as journaling about your current definition of success. In video 2, I talked about the incredible value that you can derive from regular journaling. And of course, the actions shown here can be completed as one-off activities. However, your insights about what motivates you and what is truly important to you are deepened greatly once you start to regularly practice journaling. So in this example, in the currently employed but not really engaged phase, which is the first stage of our growth path, the question, the milestone is, do you have a working definition of personal and professional success? And as I said in an earlier video, if you don't have that, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will take you there. So this is really the thing that says, okay, if you don't actually have a working definition, then stop right now and sit down and actually write down some specification for that. Write down what is your current definition of success and be as specific as possible. And don't just limit it to work and career matters. It might be about a balance, a home life balance because you've got young children at home, or it might be about wanting to travel more, or it might be about flexible working hours. It can be about anything that's important to you. The key is you have to get specific about it, because then it can become actionable with your with the tools and techniques that we cover. And of course, if you're having trouble with this, then you can step back into the Success Blueprint, the Reboot Your Career material that we covered in the first video, and go back and do some of that foundational work to explore what it is that's truly important to you in terms of professional and personal success. Now, another high impact activity, and this is typically in all stages of the growth path, is analysis and categorization, such as shown in the action step here in phase 2, in exploring landscape and options. What we're talking about in the action step is analyzing your overall work activities and create meaningful categories. So this is in response to the challenge, to the milestone that it says, are you achieving at least, say, a 65% time ratio on the interesting projects in your average work week? So in this case, in exploring the landscape, what we want is specificity around, well, okay, if something's not working for you, what's not working for you? And part of that is knowing where you're spending your time. Well, if you're currently complaining about a lot of things that you're doing, but you don't have a clear sense of where you're spending your time in the different activities you're doing, then you want to be analyzing your overall work activities and starting to create some categories so that you can start to plan around them. Now, most people don't really have a good handle on what they're actually working on and how they spend their time in any given day or week, or even month sometimes. So knowing this is a baseline condition of being able to then plan out appropriate action steps to change things up to better match your own objectives. Now, and as part of that analysis, another high value activity is discovering what internal or external bottlenecks are holding back your own personal growth. So, for example, does working on a project that is generally engaging to you also require that you have to spend a lot of unproductive time in poorly run meetings? Now, that's a bottleneck to you being more productive with your time, and it's a bottleneck for your organization being able to get more value from you. So if you can capture a full understanding of the size and scope of these productivity bottlenecks, that's the first step to framing up improvements that can benefit then both you and your employer. And that's a real win-win, and that's the natural operating mode of a highly functioning free agent. So let's switch now to the free agent growth path for contractors, freelancers, and solopreneurs. And you'll see massive similarity to the intrapreneurial growth path that we've just explored, emphasizing again that free agency is fundamentally a mindset and not a contractual situation. So this is the characteristic language of a free agent at each of these 6 stages of their growth and maturity. So in the first phase, first success. So this is, I've landed that first project. Somebody's actually paying me for a project that I'm doing, and I'm pretty jazzed about it. But I'm also maybe, a little bit, do I really believe that I can do this? I'm a little bit frightened actually of the path that I'm on. So, language like I'm super excited and, to be totally honest, kind of frightened to be on my own and starting to make a go of it. So in the first phase of free agency on in the contractor, freelancer, and solopreneur track, it's, wow, this is great. Somebody's paying me for it. I've validated that I can do this. Now, what am I doing, and how well am I doing it, and do I really want to do this stuff? So, we've landed paid projects, but, are these really the paid projects that I want to be doing? And that moves us kind of into the second stage, where what I call unstructured growth. And this is pretty typical of most free agents. So you start realizing that you can, sell a certain service. And so you start, going out and selling that service actively, and more people are buying that service. But when you stop and think about it, you kind of think, okay, am I really actually enjoying what I'm doing? So yes, I'm growing, but it's kind of unstructured. There's not a lot of systems in place, and I'm not even sure that I'm doing the work that I really love to do. So you start to sound like this. I feel like a victim of my own success. I'm busy, I'm making decent money, but I'm not as fulfilled as I want to be. The next phase that moves you, and as you start to develop and working through exactly the same kinds of milestones and action steps that we did a deep dive on in the entrepreneurial side, is we move into then the on-purpose business honing. So this is very similar to the on-purpose honing that entrepreneurs are going through, but here it's now about your business, about your service offering. So this might sound like this. I now know that I can be truly successful and on my own terms, and I'm actively determining what that success needs to look like and feel like for me to be comfortable with it. So now we're starting to get very directed in what we want to do, what we know what we can do, we know what we've been able to sell, and we've got confidence in ourselves, but now we're getting very opinionated about the kind of work we really want to do and the kinds of people we want to do it for. And as we then move on into the focused scaling, now we get to the, hey, I'm in a great groove, I'm doing more of what I want, less of what I don't want, and I'm making more money with the same effort. So things are, the machinery is starting to really work, the systems are working, this is starting to make a lot of sense, and I'm very comfortable in this phase. And then we move into the stretching time again. So again, this is all about what I want to do is I want to have maximal impact for the least amount of my time, because ultimately I'm still selling my time and I've got a limited amount of that. So how do I stretch my time most effectively so that I can be doing the things I want to do, earn the kind of money I want to make, and be really enjoying things? So now that I really know my purpose and my served community, I'm starting to turbocharge my success by leveraging my time as effectively as possible. And this is where a lot of systems, evolved business models, blueprinting, process step elimination, all of these things fit in to help you now do more, have more impact with less of your time. And then finally, we move into the life in balance phase. And this is where, as a free agent, you're saying, things really feel great. My ongoing background efforts and systems are enough to maintain my forward momentum. Everything is now in balance. I'm running a life in balance. And again, generally, these can be disrupted by the external world. However, less so than in the entrepreneurial track. In the entrepreneurial track, you are operating inside an environment that is dictated by the employer, and so they can change things up pretty quickly in terms of reorganizations, mergers, acquisitions, layoffs, all kinds of things. Not so much here, because even if you head into a big economic downturn, or automation starts kicking in big time in your client companies, again, typically you have a balanced portfolio of activities. You're not serving one client, you tend to be serving multiple clients. So you've got a lot more anti-fragility is the term I think that is sometimes used. You've got a lot more shock absorbers built into your business itself. So you're actually, it's harder to, not to say that there aren't external impacts that can disrupt your life as a free agent. There certainly are, but you've got a lot more stability in this track, because generally you've got kind of a balanced portfolio of activities, and typically, even in severe economic downturns, not everything goes to hell at once. Although that has happened a couple of times in our economies over the last couple of centuries. So again, drilling into this growth path, we can see the specific milestone and action steps for each of the first three phases of growth as a contractor, freelancer, or solopreneur. Now, no matter where you currently are on this growth path, it's very straightforward to quickly identify what your next set of actions should be to keep you advancing. And again, we've circled some key 20% actions that are going to help you deliver 80% of the results. Now, different than the entrepreneurial track that we went through a little bit ago, Here, the big leverage points in the early stages revolve around developing clarity about the simplest tool sets that you need to be effective in your day-to-day work. So that's what we've identified in this first green circle. Now, you also put a focus on designing your daily work and exercise routine to keep you maximally productive and on track. So that's the second green circle, create a daily routine. Now, these are generally things that are provided to you as part of your employment agreement as an entrepreneur. You know, these are the expected working hours, they're the IT systems you're going to use, and you know, that's generally where you operate as an entrepreneur. But they don't exist for contractors, freelancers, and solopreneurs. So you need to think about them thoroughly and design them yourself. And you've got to make sure that you don't over-design them, which is a big mistake that we often can make. There is an optimal time to tackle these in your development, as illustrated in our growth path. Now, another high leverage action step is determining the best times in your development path to revisit and refine your initial foundation work. So that purpose, vision, superpower, and a concise cataloging of your capabilities and experiences. So I've identified that in the green circle to the right. Developing as a free agent is all about both personal and professional growth. And so revisiting your earlier foundation work is highly valuable, especially if it's done at key points along your development arc, as shown here in the free agent growth path. Okay, now that was kind of throwing a lot at you. So let's do a quick review of what we learned today. So first, we put into context all the material that we've now covered so far in the video workshop. The Success Blueprint lays out the complete step-by-step instructions to take you through a complete career transition or reinvention. Now, you accomplish this work and you continue to develop in your career by planning out and taking deliberate day-to-day and week-to-week actions to accomplish your goals. That was covered in our second video called Building Momentum. And the long-term direction that you build that momentum in is laid out in the 6-phase free agent growth path, which is optimized for consultants, freelancers, solopreneurs, and intrapreneurs. So these three elements together form a complete system, your success system, for gaining clarity, building momentum, and achieving success on your own terms. Okay, that's a lot to cover, but isn't it easier now seeing how kind of all the pieces fit together, how everything fits? And most importantly, doesn't it feel good knowing what you should focus on right now, regardless of where you are in your journey? And do you see how this clarity will help you do work you love and get paid fairly and more easily and more quickly? So now that you've got those wheels turning, I want to hear from you. I know you picked up a lot of ideas from this video, and now is the time to get started. So let me know in the comments what your first steps are going to be. And if you found this video helpful, others will too. So please give somebody else a hand by sharing this video on Facebook, Twitter, or even sending a link to the friend. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to implement what you've learned today more easily and more quickly. Now, if you're new to taking real ownership of your career, this is going to lay out the exact plan so that you can do the work you love and get paid fairly. And if you're a long-time free agent, you'll build on what you've already created by following specific steps designed to get you past what's holding you back so you can get on track and reach your goals. Now, speaking of learning how to do work you love and get paid fairly, we've been hearing from a number of people who've had questions about the Free Agent Collective. And I'd love to see you in there. So in the next video, we're going to talk more about the program and how you can join it. Now, the way it works is that I open the full membership to the general public on a very limited basis. And we do this so it runs kind of similar to a college class where we all go through things together. So registration for that is going to open up in a few days, and then it closes so that I can create space for the new members and help ensure that they get up to speed as quickly as possible. So if you're interested in moving forward and you want to know how, then you'll want to join me in the next video where I lay it all out for you. But for now, I want to leave you with this. Just by taking part in the workshop, you're already closer to knowing how to do work you love and get paid fairly for it. So think about video 1, where you'll learn how to attract better work projects. This training alone has shown you how you can have more money, time, and freedom by following the Success Blueprint. And it's amazing how simple it can be once you have the steps. Then you made big strides in video 2, where you saw how to create sustainable momentum by seeing how to commit to effective daily and weekly actions. And that's huge. And knowing this will continue to pay off from now and into the future for you. And today you got the complete framework so you can become a more successful free agent. Isn't it easier understanding every step along the way? So to make it even better, we've cut to the chase so you know exactly what gives you bigger results faster and with less demand on you. So in just a few days now, you've learned so much about how to do the work you love and get paid fairly for it. And in the next video, I'll share the next step on your journey. I'm so excited about what's in store for you. I'll see you in the next video. For now, this is Tim Reagan saying, have yourself a great day.